What if one episode of a sitcom could include fake sickness scams, Disneyland escape plans, princess arguments, relationship confusion, emotional breakdowns, scientific chaos, and a full-on emotional reality check all at the same time? Well, that's exactly what happens here. This isn't just another episode of the Big Bang Theory, this is pure chaos disguised as comedy. Every character is running their own agenda, every conversation turns into an argument, and somehow everything still connects in the funniest possible way. From clever lies to emotional honesty, from nerd science fights to relationship reality checks, this episode is packed with moments that feel completely random but also perfectly human. Let's break it all down. The episode kicks off with one of the funniest setups, a guy proudly confessing how he escaped work just to go to Disneyland. But this wasn't a normal "I'm sick" excuse. This was a full strategic campaign of lies. First call, a casual lab issue and a mention of seafood. Second call, suspicious scallop problem. Third call, dramatic illness escalation. Fourth call, full performance mode, pretending to be completely sick. And finally, freedom. Disneyland is the destination. What makes this scene hilarious is not just the lie, but the dedication. This is not laziness, this is engineering-level deception. Meanwhile, Penny's reaction is the complete opposite. No overthinking, no strategy, just a simple, "I quit my job and said bye." This contrast shows something important. Some people over-engineer life problems and some just live them. Next comes the classic road trip chaos, the group heading toward Disneyland and immediately fighting over something absolutely childish but extremely relatable. They decide to get a princess makeover experience. Everything is fun until the argument starts. Who gets to be Cinderella? One person says it was their idea, so they should get it. Another refuses to accept losing Cinderella status. Suddenly, a magical Disney moment turns into a dictatorship negotiation. It's funny because it mirrors real life. Even adults turn into kids when it comes to fairness, ego, and "I deserve this." And in true sitcom fashion, the argument ends not with logic, but with dominance. Now we move into the brain of the show, Sheldon-style intellectual chaos. There's a moment where science questions, engineering pride, and ego collide. Every simple question becomes a battlefield. Who answers? Who is right? Who deserves to speak? Sheldon, as always, dominates with knowledge but destroys teamwork in the process. What makes it funny is this contradiction. He is correct but unbearable, and the others are frustrated but also secretly impressed. This is where the show shines. It doesn't just make science funny, it makes intelligence socially awkward. One of the deeper moments comes when emotional psychology enters the scene. Sheldon gets analyzed in classic psychological questioning style where every answer becomes a puzzle. The idea is simple. Is Sheldon afraid of emotional commitment without realizing it? Is Amy insecure about her relationship? But Sheldon, being Sheldon, avoids emotional depth and turns everything into logic. This creates a clash between human emotion and robotic reasoning. Nobody wants to directly face emotional truth, so everything becomes analysis instead of honesty. Then we move into one of the funniest social dynamics, living arrangements turning into negotiation war. One person gets offered the garage, another offers a bedroom, and suddenly Wi-Fi quality, bathroom usage, and mini fridge placement become serious topics. It's comedy, but also very real because this is how humans behave. We don't just share space, we negotiate comfort. And nobody wants to directly say no, so everything becomes passive-aggressive diplomacy. Next comes a hilarious side arc involving virtual reality and gaming. One character tries to enjoy peaceful simulation but gets interrupted. Another story reveals embarrassing online gaming behavior that goes too far into personal territory. Awkward in game relationships, emotional consequences of virtual actions, and extreme embarrassment when reality interrupts fantasy. The core joke here is simple. People behave completely differently online than in real life, and when those worlds collide, chaos happens. One of the iconic tones of the episode is when science literally invades real life. Babies become part of an experiment. Data is collected, observations are made, and suddenly parenting becomes a scientific project. It's funny because it highlights Sheldon's worldview. Everything can be studied. But emotional parenting doesn't work like lab research, and that gap between logic and emotion creates some of the funniest moments. Now the tone shifts slightly. We see emotional vulnerability between characters. Leonard and Penny have a moment where honesty breaks through chaos. There's confusion, self-doubt, but also support. The important message here is simple. Not everything needs to be solved with logic. Sometimes people just need understanding, patience, and emotional presence. This episode subtly shows that even the funniest people have real emotional struggles underneath. As the episode reaches its final stretch, everything turns into pure chaos again. Teasing between friends, scientific debates over ridiculous topics, emotional confusion mixed with humor, and random arguments about intelligence and superiority. Nobody truly wins anything here, but that's the point. Friendship in this universe is not about winning, it's about surviving each other. What makes this episode so entertaining is not just the jokes, but the way it mixes everything together. Lies and strategy, science and emotion, friendship and ego, chaos and logic. It shows that even the smartest people can behave irrationally, and even the most chaotic moments can feel strangely real. At the end of the day, this episode is not just comedy, it's a reflection of how people actually behave when life gets messy, and that's exactly why it works so well. Please subscribe, Vortiq series.